great genius on that is Paul Stanford. You know, he knows every aspect, and he's just one of many people I want to bring on your show. You know, there's some people I want to bring on, like the Black Tuna, and Arthur, who has a book called Herb Trader. He was over here in Thailand doing Thai sticks. And was one of the biggest dealers, smugglers. He wrote a book about the corruption with the CIA, mafia, DEA, the whole thing. And then there's the Black Tuna, who actually just spent 28 years in prison, who was one of the biggest marijuana smugglers. They're having a movie coming out called Square Groupers on his life mostly, and Square Groupers, you know what that is?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the bales that somebody tossed off when the Coast Guard was coming up.
Yeah, well, a lot of that was his, and and so he wouldn't turn on anyone or rat anything, and he had to spend the whole time. 28 years. He just out. He's written a book. He's called The Black Tuna. Is his book. So he's going to be one of the guests. But
I have all of December open. I'm booked up till December 1st. But I've got all those days open.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the dates maybe over the weekend here on different people. But I was hoping that we could hold Sundays for the hemp, and then you got other 4 days for your show, and you and I do the hemp thing, and I get these guys started. You come in with your questions, and we bring all the top people in the world about hemp on your show to try to give people in that region. Wednesday is the time to come to your show to learn about cannabis.
The Free American, as a hard copy, I've been publishing it for 20 years, and if you go to my website, you've got all the statistics on marijuana, you've got our shows, you've got everything, everything about it. I've covered that. I've got the Understanding the Drug War on there by Kevin Booth. I've got links on that, so people, to educate people. But if we could bring the Free American back out and use that to start educating the people about hemp and about marijuana, then
well, there's going to be a lot of need for education, especially with this new medical marijuana in your state, because there's a whole blossoming industry. I mean, if you look at the other medical states, the first people getting in, some of them have to take some. The DEA plays, rough, but, not quite as rough under Obama, not quite as rough as under Bush too. It's the same director, and she's just being voted upon right now in the Senate. Her name is Leonhardt. For Michelle, she has a name just like Michelle Obama, Michelle Leonhardt. I guess he likes her name, and he kept her over from Bush 2 for the DEA, and he kept over Gates at Defense. So we as Democrats, and I say we meaning I voted for Obama as a Democrat, and I have voted Democrat. I've never voted Republican, but in this next election, because of Leonhardt and him not thinking that, he should put a Democrat into the position of defense and continue all these wars, I mean, we elected him to end these wars. We didn't elect Obama to continue these wars. So he's a deception of some type for the bankers. And, that's probably your other 4 days to discuss that with your audience. Wednesdays was going to be our day to educate everybody in all the states that you really hit home with. And that's the Patriot Movement and a Free American and all those old bikers and all those Christians that do know a little bit about token and aren't afraid to say that they do it with Jesus.
If I can get a little bit of backing, if I can get some advertising from the dispensaries and some of the organizations here that are responsible for this, then we can use the Free American to educate. I mean, for the 16 years, I tried to educate the people that the CIA and the Mossad were running the drugs in there. They're even doing the ecstasy, things like that. That comes straight from Israel. But and the methamphetamine is coming in from Mexico now. They moved all the ephedrine down there. They made ephedrine illegal here, and are more tightly controlled. And if we've got 2 years we've got 2 years to work on this legalization across the board, as that just lost in California, and I think
Yes. Now that let's discuss that for a second, okay?
okay,
Because of the corruption in California, not only with the industries that are against, like, the beer industry and the cigarette industry and the pharmaceutical industry and the paper, all the anti-hemp groups, they don't want anything. If recreational marijuana gets legalized, then industrial hemp gets legalized in America, and then these other businesses would be affected. And these guys that work for these companies know that. So they vote against that stuff, even if they smoke privately. Now, the growers up in the Humboldt, Trinity, they all were against it, and they all voted, and there wasn't significant numbers. The main reason it lost in 19, to tell you the truth, is low voter turnout. Young people just don't vote. And especially in a non-presidential election, in an off election. If you look at the numbers, all we needed was, to get like 4.9, close to 5 million. There's at least 6 or 7 million smokers in California alone that are adults. We just can't get them to vote. And we got a lot of people on the Republican side. We're starting to really pull intelligent Republican people and Christians. We're starting to touch into the church, the mainstream churches, that they're starting not to be afraid of it. And part of the reason was that people like Roger Christie and Chris Bennett, who I want to bring on your show from his book Soma Solution, his second book, he would talk about the Bible, where everything in the Bible with cannabis, he talks about the anointing oil, cannabisum, being made from cannabis in the Holy of Holies, and it's used extensively, hemp and marijuana, in the Bible, the Christian Jewish Bible. And this is Chris Bennett, the leading scholar in the world. And we want to put him on your show in the next month.
We have THC Wednesdays now.
Yes.
And you're back on, and anybody you want to bring back on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are yours. We've got December 1st.
That's what I'm talking about.
And
so
we're going to.
You get on there and you ask a question you want, and I ask too, and then between the three of us, we'll suss it out for your needs in your part of the world. Now, these people from all over the world, and look at me, I'm in Phnom Penh. I'll tell you that if we got people listening on the show today, which I know we do, I bet you it would take them 5 minutes to find Phnom Penh on the map, most of them, okay? People don't know where Cambodia was. It is. Where it was when we were bombing it in 1967, creating a genocide with Nixon and Kissinger.
Exactly. Why did we do that? What did Cambodia ever do to us? I mean, what was that all about?
Well, that was all about making money for the military industrial complex and about world hegemony and about dealing with Russia and China vis-a-vis their games they play for global, shall we say the word, domination. They have all these machinations and Machiavellian ideas of how they should be acting, but of course, as people that grew up in the '60s that believe in something called peace and love, well, we're fruits and nuts, and we're not to be taken serious, and we don't even have any rights. So the Constitution is meaningless to us because we're criminals just because we believe in this plant called cannabis.
I mean, this thing has been around. They've been playing these kind of games for thousands of years. I mean, in the biblical days, didn't the Pharisees and the priests try to keep this from themselves, keep the average person from having access?
There's always the idea that the rabble don't deserve the real inner knowledge, and many people with knowledge, they're greedy, they're selfish. And they don't want to share the gift if it is a true gift, and so certainly the super wealthy in the world right now, and the way the world's going, and we're going into global collapse, They want to set themselves up in fail-safe situations where they can keep their progeny going, whether they're silos inside of Iowa or something. You ever see that? You know, and
Yeah.
through